And obviously, the scale of the problem is pretty enormous. The reports that I've seen show almost 26% improper payment rates. I think the number that I have in front of me, $5.8 billion in fraud. I mean, that's an almost unfathomable number. I mean, $5.8 billion in fraud is nuts.
Yeah, so that's for the first time ever, we analyzed all of our voucher payments for fiscal 24. When I came in, we did that right away, and we found a lot of payments that were questionable. It doesn't mean they were fraud. That means they needed to do a little bit of homework. And a lot of those payments were a combination of noncompliance with SAM.gov, paying deceased people, non-conforming Social Security numbers, and then payments that were outside the norm of market value in individual states and or geographical areas. We have that under control. We're putting processes in place to make sure the payments are to SAM.gov compliance, and we'll have good reporting and positive reporting on that in our agency financial report this year. I'm very excited about the progress made in that as well.
So in a couple of years, you're confirmed you're in the job. Your target of 0 makes sense. No fraud. We shouldn't send taxpayer money.
Yeah,
Would you agree on that? The goal should be 0. I think we should just. I'm gonna agree for you that the goal is 0, because any other answer will not be processed by my brain.
The goal is 0.
There you go, Ms. Warren. Sometimes, obviously, we talk about NVIDIA and the chips and the most advanced semiconductors, but sometimes, like blocking and tackling old school technology, like just plain old memory chips, become a problem. And there is currently a massive memory chip issue. What are your feelings on that? Do you think we should be looking at making certain that we fill U.S. demand first before we start shipping memory outside the country?
I don't know if it's mutually exclusive. So I think President Trump, and since I've been at the Department of Commerce, has really been focusing on making sure we're getting more memory chip build out here. So I've been involved with the CHIPS program's efforts there. For example, Micron's facility that they're building, and that's been excellent.
But until that comes online, we are going to face this shortage. And I guess I would just, because I'm short of time, I just want your commitment. Please pay attention to that as well.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you. And Mr. Johnson, you've been at the CFPB. Something that's near and dear to my heart is obviously the auto business. There's a company called Carvana. I would just like your commitment to work with me on that. They have an approval rating of credit for their customers of nearly 100%. Having been in the car business for a long time, that doesn't exist. There's no scenario in which you approve 100% of your clients. So I would just want you to work with me to see what's going on, what they're doing. And I personally believe they need to be investigated and want your commitment to help me do that.
Senator, if confirmed, I'd be happy to take a look.
Thank you. Now I recognize the ranking member.
Thank you. In January 2025, the CFPB sued Capital One, which is your current employer, Mr. Johnson, and it was sued for cheating its customers out of more than $2 billion in interest payments on their savings accounts. But about a month after President Trump was sworn in and after Capital One donated a cool $1 million to his inauguration, Acting Director Vogt dropped the case against Capital One. This is one of 42 enforcement actions and investigations the CFPB has dropped against big banks and giant corporations since Donald Trump took office. Now, when he was here last week, I asked Director Vogt how many of those 42 cases against companies that we know donated to President Trump. And he said he didn't know how many had donated to President Trump. I said, we know at least some of them: Capital One, Apple, Bank of America, JPMorgan, Toyota, Walmart, Meta. They donate and they get actions from CFPB against them dropped. And who knows if there are more. But what I do know is that we need to clean this corruption up. So, Mr. Johnson, will you commit to notifying Congress and the Inspector General immediately if the White House contacts you about an enforcement action against a Trump family company or a big donor that cheated families?
Senator, when I served at CFPB, that never happened to my knowledge, and I don't anticipate that it would.
That's not my question. My question is, if it does, will you notify Congress and will you notify the Inspector General? Look, there's obviously a problem here. I'm looking for a way to clean it up. You're the guy in the seat who can do this. Will you agree to notify us if you get a call about a political donor or member of the Trump family who is asking about an ongoing investigation?
Senator, with respect, I dispute the premise of the question. I don't anticipate
I don't
that
care whether you
happening.
like the premise. I have given you a set of facts that are not made up. It's happening right now. I want your commitment that if it happens on your watch, you'll pick up the phone and call us. Our job is oversight. That's not so hard. Are you willing to do that?
Senator, I'm not going to engage in a
Okay, so the
hypothetical. I don't
answer is
anticipate that
no.
happening.
You will not try to hose out the corruption. Look, the CFPB is currently being used as an arm of President Trump's ongoing corruption, including his corporate pardon machine. And your answer indicates you're just going to keep that machine humming. So let me ask you about President Trump's plan to kill off the CFPB. Acting Director Vogt tried to fire 90% of the staff. A court told him he can't do that on his own. So now he's proposing to fire half the staff, including almost 300 examiners. Now, those are the financial cops whose job it is to ensure that the banks and the lenders are following the law and treating customers fairly. Mr. Johnson, does going from 350 examiners down to 77 examiners make it more or less likely that companies like your current employer, Capital One, will get away with hurting consumers?
Sir, I believe it depends on the CFPB's examination strategy.
So you think you can do just as much with 77 people as you can with 350 to catch the crooks?
Senator, what I would note is that that staffing plan is subject to litigation.
Yeah, I know it's
parties
subject to litigation because he's not allowed to shut it down by himself. All right, let me just ask you then about your turn through the revolving door. You worked at the CFPB as a deputy director from 2017 until 2020, and then you became a VP at Capital One at the same time that the CFPB dropped its enforcement action against Capital One. Mr. Johnson, do you still work for Capital One today?
I do, Senator. I am
So
here
you're
today in
drawing
my
a
personal
paycheck
capacity.
from Capital One right now as you sit here and testify in front of us?
Senator, I'm testifying in my personal capacity today.
Okay, but they're paying you to get confirmed for this job. I understand they're also letting you keep a bonus that you haven't yet earned when you leave. You know, they must be really excited about getting you confirmed here. Congress did not create the CFPB to aid and abet Trump's corruption. You had a chance to take a different path, but all you've done today is indicate you're there to keep the corruption machine humming.